Hey guys, so okay, another big change that I have seen in the solar industry recently is battery backup. So would you guys talk battery backup with me today?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So first of all, what is this change? Like, why did this all of a sudden happen? Is it a requirement? Do you have to get a battery? And where did it all start?
So Corey, this is your wheelhouse, but people think battery backup arrived
To us, it feels
second.
new.
It arrived first, right? So I think that's an important place to start.
Yeah, good point. Solar started out without, so today everyone knows grid connected solar. So most people probably don't have batteries. They have solar panels on the roof that are tied directly to the grid. So for all intents and purposes, the utility is the battery. Solar started out not being allowed to be connected to the grid, so you had to have batteries. So if you were going to generate power, you're charging batteries, your home is using the batteries, and that was probably a backup system. So you're saying battery backup, where backup to me is a keyword for emergency utility is shut off. Battery storage is what is becoming mainstream now with how the utility bills for solar.
Wait, so there's two different things? Are they two different products too?
You can have batteries that don't provide power in the event of an outage.
I did not know that.
They're used for
I just thought it was all the same.
Right. So that would be like a rate arbitrage situation, or in the new net metering 3 world for the big 3 utilities here in Southern California, that is how systems are designed. So instead of using the utility to bank credits like we've talked about in previous episodes, you use batteries to store any excess solar production. And as the sun goes down, your solar's not producing anymore. You use energy from those batteries to offset whatever power is being used in the home, so you're not using it from the utility.
And that's the battery storage.
That's storage. Yep. So
and that's what most people are getting?
That's an option. Yeah. So I would say
it's like 90%
more.
In California.
Okay. So you're going to get a grid connected battery, meaning no grid, no battery, grid, battery. You're storing excess energy and using it to offset your energy usage with the utility.
And to be clear, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just so there's no confusion, oftentimes this is the same technology. It's the same battery. There might be less components. So if you wanted to do battery backup if the grid's down, there would be more hung on your wall. There's more labor for us to move critical loads over, but oftentimes it's the same battery. So someone has a storage setup, it could be converted to a backup setup. There's more to it than that, but just so you understand, there's not like totally different tech between these two.
Let me make sure I understand, because I think I'm almost there, and probably my viewer is like, oh my gosh, Katherine, I got it like 5 minutes ago. Get with the program. Okay, so battery storage, it means that, okay, let's say on Tuesday I produce more than what I use, but on Wednesday I use more than I produce. On that Wednesday, I can pull from my battery storage to offset so that I'm not being charged by my utility company?
Let me give you or explain it in a different way. So
the answer was no, I did not get
it. I don't think I did a good job of explaining it in the first place.
It was not you. It was a user error. Okay.
So you use power all day long, right, in your house. Granted, less at nighttime, but sometimes the dishwasher's running, or you got a load of laundry in, or maybe some people run their pool at night. You charge an EV, whatever the case is. You have nighttime usage and daytime usage. The solar is only going to make power during the day. So it might produce the amount of power that you need in a day, but only while the sun is up. You need some while the sun is down as well. So let's produce the amount of power that we need during the day. What we're using during the day, the solar is covering, and any excess goes in the battery for use at nighttime to get you back around the clock to where the sun comes up. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
Versus, remember, if you were to just send that back to the grid and not have batteries, they're going to give you a very small credit for it.
Right.
And then you're going to have to buy that power from them at night at a very high rate. So that's what we're avoiding with this battery.
So the battery storage is essentially just trying to maximize the value of the system. Okay, now what's the battery backup?
That's for an emergency situation, or maybe people don't consider power being shut off an emergency, but it can be for some people. But that's where the grid goes down, you have an islanding device, some people call it a transfer switch, that disconnects you from the grid and allows your solar and battery system to start feeding power to your home, whether that be a minimal amount of circuits, or some people might have access to everything in their home and power it back up like the grid was still present.
Okay, so for example, not so long ago, with everything that was going on with the fires, we had a lot of areas that did not have power. So would that have been the battery backup situation that would have benefited them? Or
Right. So there were a lot of people that have purchased solar systems since net metering changes and batteries have become part of a solar installation, that said, okay, I have batteries. Cool. Power is going to go out, but I'm good. That's not always the case. So got to go back around to understand what you're buying from the solar salesperson and how it's going to work for you. So having battery backup is definitely a benefit for what I perceive to be continuing public safety power shutoffs whenever there's windy conditions or fire risk conditions in Southern California. Utilities are not going to hesitate to turn power off. Yeah. And you want to have a backup battery system in lieu of a grid connected rate arbitrage battery system.
Okay. Whew.
Something else, I think this is important and topical. It's related.
Yeah.
So during those recent outages, we have a lot of people that have solar, right? They've had it for before batteries became a thing. It's an assumption that people make that, well, when the sun's up, even though the grid's down, my panels are producing power, so my house is still getting fed power, right? That's an assumption a lot of people make.
I would have made that assumption.
Yeah, and the answer is no. And it's for safety purposes. So just think about, if the panels are producing power, your home uses some of it, power always has to go somewhere. Where would that power go in this old system that have batteries? It's going to go back into the grid where maybe lines are down and someone's working on them and you just electrocuted them. So there's a safety shutoff where if the grid's not present, the inverter's shut down, therefore your panels aren't producing power for your home to use.
Unless you have battery backup.
You need battery
and
backup.
then you make that manual switch or
it can be automatic, but you make that switch and island
no, it can
yourself.
be cooler than that.
Yep.
Okay. I feel like I'm starting to get this, guys. Okay, this is like solar school. Okay, so is it a requirement to have a battery nowadays?
Not a requirement, but
highly advisable.
Well, the way that it's going to work for billing with the utility, I don't know of a whole lot of residential applications where it's going to make a lot of sense to not have a battery. If it was like a commercial store or something like that, application where you really only used power between 8 and 5 when the sun was up, then solar only can make sense. But if you're at home using power overnight, you need to have batteries to make sure that you're not buying expensive power from the utility at nighttime. You're using your solar production that was stored in your batteries to offset that usage.
Okay, so then I really am loving the whole battery backup part. Does it cost way more to do that versus, well, I guess number one, does it cost way more to add the battery? And then does it cost way, way, way more to do the battery backup versus battery storage?
Sure. Yep.
So I would say let's just go back one step. So I'll give an example to this just so it's clear for people. If you right now in the new world, right now in NEM 3, got solar in California and you just said, I just want solar panels, batteries are too expensive, I'll just give you an estimation. You could probably offset, in most cases, 50% of your bill. I don't know too many people that just want to offset half of their big electric bill.
I don't feel like it would be worth it at that point.
By adding batteries, we can get up to 85, 90%. Now we're at a meaningful offset. So are batteries more expensive? Yes, but they are taking that offset from 50% close to 90%. So there's
overall.
There's a lot of value there to adding the batteries, even though they do have a price tag on them.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so then what about all the people who don't have them right now? Can we add it after market? And does it make sense?
Absolutely. I can't answer the does it make sense because that depends on everybody's situation, right? There's a lot of people out there that the public safety power shutoffs is a real threat to their livelihood. You might have somebody with medical equipment in their house that you cannot have the power being shut off all the time. Everybody has their own reasons. I'm like my house to be cool at night. I want my batteries for that. I don't want to have, so everybody's situation is different. Yes, batteries can be added to any existing solar system. And is it worth it? That's something that you call us and discuss.
What if they got their solar system from another company and then they want to call you to add the battery? Or even we had talked about before, or, they've come to the end and they want to add more panels, or they want to, enhance the system in any way, shape, or form. Is that possible?
I'm laughing because it's not straightforward, just like everything.
There's no straightforward answer.
I don't like asking straightforward questions. I want to make it hard on you.
I would say there's probably a reason why you're not calling the company that installed it in the first place.
Like they may not exist anymore.
They may not exist, in which case there isn't a voiding their warranty, consideration, because that would be the consideration that I would make if somebody called me and said, hey, I want to add on, but this company did it and they're out of business. We'll help you out. In the case where somebody is in business, I would ask, why are you not considering them? Well, I don't think they did a good job. I had a bad experience, et cetera, et cetera. Then, okay, well, there is a warranty consideration. This could void your warranty, and that could be a factor. So just being transparent and forthcoming with the situation. But I would say more often than not, there's a very good reason why they're not using their previous installer.
Even
Lease or PPA, you're not adding a battery to that. They're not going to let you touch that and add backup. So that's a definite no.
Okay. So this really is only applicable if the solar panels are fully paid off or there is a purchase loan on them.
Is there a second system, standalone, separate from the PPA?
I think they would have to add more panels with batteries in an additional PPA or lease to achieve that. Whereas if you paid cash or purchase, you could add it, right? The issue is more the contractor and warranties. The issue is a financing company upset that you're touching an asset that they sold.
Sure.
So like Eric said, it's complicated.
But for our customers, we get this call all the time. We do a lot of cash and purchases. The answer is, let's talk about what are you trying to accomplish? Yeah, we can probably do this for you.
The consultation. Yeah, I completely resonate with that. Okay, so let's say they do the battery backup and we do have a power outage. How do they get electric to their house if the grid goes down? How does that work?
So how does a battery backup system work?
Yes.
Well,
so it would have been a much simpler way to ask that question.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, during the day, the sun is shining, the solar is producing power and probably feeding the batteries and or the grid. And if the grid turns off, the system is smart enough. In 99% of cases that I can think of, there's an automatic transfer switch that is directing the flow of power. And that component is going to just see the grid go away and redirect the flow of power. So you may or may not notice a flicker of lights or something like that. Maybe a clock gets reset, but for the most part, you may not know that the power is even out.
Does it power everything just as normal? Or does it go kind of into reserve mode?
That depends on the design of the system, how much battery you have, how much inverter output you have. So I'm going to go down like the nerd path, self-admitted nerd. Yeah. So like I love talking about that stuff, but it gets a little technical and a little design heavy. So that depends on the design, how specifically it will function.
Basically what I'm hearing from a consumer point of view is if somebody is thinking about doing battery backup, that they should talk with you and really discuss, hey, what are my options and how nitty gritty can this get? And okay, if we have a power outage, how long can it last or what can we power and all of that? And you can help through the design piece to modify their options to meet their needs.
Yeah. So when I walk a site, when somebody's interested in battery backup and I go out to their home to look at their situation specifically, I usually give them a scenario. Okay, the power is out. Where do you want lights to work in your home? What refrigerator? Do you have multiple refrigerators? If they have AC units for like both sides of a ranch style single story home, do you want both sides or only one side, like the bedroom side, more important? garage door opener, internet. So we have kind of like our list of stuff that we try to tackle for every homeowner consistently, because most homeowners want their internet to work and their garage door and general lighting, right? So those are kind of the basics, and the refrigerator. Then it gets more complicated from there, where people have different priorities. So when I say, okay, power's out, what do you need? What do you want? Those are two different things.
Okay. Phenomenal.
Everybody wants whole home backup, right? But that's not the default. The default is the critical loads, like what you absolutely need, like you described. So maybe there's 3 tiers here. There's like the bare minimum, my fridge, my lights, my outlets, the garage door. Then there's the, let's cover most things, but AC units, pools, car chargers, those are excluded, but we can do most of the house. Then there's someone that says, I want it all.
Yeah.
And you can do any version of that. Obviously, there's different price tags with a walkthrough and custom design.
I think that's awesome. I love that you have that capability to be as creative as you need to be. So that's fantastic. Guys, that's it. That's really what I wanted to know about battery. Now I know, see, my whole topic was battery backup. Now I am educated, and I know it's battery storage or battery backups. And hopefully you feel very educated as well. So make sure to like this video. Guys, thank you so much for spending time with me again. If you found this useful, make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can get all of this great content every single week. And if there is a topic that you want me to grill somebody on, like I've done with these guys, I would love to hear it. What are the things that you want to know about being a homeowner or about real estate? Tell me and drop me a comment. Guys, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.